And we're back here for the GSMC Baseball Podcast, bringing you our fifth and final segment for today, which is going to be talking about the most overrated player in baseball. Now, there was a poll done by The Athletic recently that polled a bunch of players on a lot of different topics. What organization would you want to sign to the most? What organization you want to sign to the least? What ballpark is the best? Yada, 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 kind of things like that. They do this every year, but really the most interesting thing I thought they did was who is the most overrated player in baseball according to other players. And this is the list right here. So I wanted to give my general thoughts on it. You can tell me if you agree, disagree with these picks, agree with my personal opinions as well. So yeah, let's get into it. So at first, getting more than half of the votes of the next person, for the Miami Marlins, Jazz Chisholm, he was voted as the most overrated player in all of baseball. Now, that's something that is very interesting to me. Do I think Chisholm is overrated? I think potentially with casual fans of baseball, he might be overrated. I see where they're going with this, as he gets a lot of press. He gets a lot of people talking about him just because of his personality, being on the cover of MLB The Show. So I do get why MLB players would say that he is overrated. But I don't know if I'd agree. I think, again, with casual fans, they might see him get talked about a lot in the media because of his flair, because of his personality, him being on the cover of MLB The Show, and think, wow, this guy's a star. But regular MLB fans know he's just a good, solid player. He's nothing really extraordinary. He's just a really good, solid player with a very high personality and having a lot of fun playing baseball. I have no problem with Jazz Chisholm personality. I think it's great for the game, and I think he does a great job being an ambassador of it, especially being from the Bahamas. There's not many baseball players from there, and I think he does a really good job bringing baseball back to his country and does a really good job as being an international advocate for baseball. So I don't necessarily agree with this, but I understand why he's here. I think reading the comments of this, it seemed like a lot of MLB players were kind of just butthurt that he was on the cover of MLB The Show. So that could be something potentially as the reason, but yeah. I understand where they're coming from. I just don't agree. Second here, we have Anthony Rendon at 10.2%. Maybe a year ago or 2 years ago, I would have said yes. But at this point, I think everybody knows who Anthony Rendon is. We know about the problems he has off the field with just not really caring about baseball. We know that he's not the same player he was with the Nationals anymore. We know his contract's an albatross for this Angels team. We kind of know this already. We know he's injury prone. He doesn't play much. And I think calling him overrated in 2024 is just kind of confusing. Every baseball fan basically knows at this point that he's not that good anymore and that he just isn't really a great player. So I don't really understand this. I kind of think they're just living in the past with this one. Maybe they're jealous of his contract. I don't know. But yeah, I don't really agree with this one. Again, I understand where they're coming from with the big contract and, used to be a star and now kind of is bad. But same with Chisholm. I understand where they're coming from, but I wouldn't really agree. So, yeah. Next, we have Carlos Correa of the Minnesota Twins. I don't agree, but again, I see where they're coming from. So, Correa has had a really rocky second year with the Twins last year, not being a league average hitter, but his first year with the Twins was really, really good. This year, he's been really good with the Twins, and of course, in Houston, he was a superstar. So, he also plays amazing defense, is a true leader of the team he's on. A real guy who takes charge and is a leader of whatever organization he's on, represents it well. Of course, I'm sure some players still hold resentment for him for the trash can scandal with the Astros, but we're so much past that at that point. I mean, I'm so far gone, I don't even care anymore. So I don't agree because I think the statistics prove for themselves that Correa is still a really great player, but he didn't have the best season last year. The best season with Houston a few years ago. Didn't have the greatest season last year. Is injured a lot. But overall, I think when he's on the field, which is more than not, I mean, he gets injured sometimes, yes, maybe a little more than an average player, but still plays a significant amount of games every year, is still a really great player when he's on there. And I think that he overall is really, really great. So, yeah, I think that I still think he's a really good player. I don't think he's overrated. I understand where they're coming from, but I just don't agree. Tim Anderson here at tied fourth place with 5% now of the Marlins. This is the same thing with Rendon. Maybe a year, 2 or 3 years ago, maybe, but at this point, everybody knows Tim Anderson isn't that good. He's bad at this point in his career. We all know this. I don't really think that he's overrated because, again, I think he's properly rated because we all know that he's not a great player anymore. He had a really great run with the White Sox for a few years, was one of the best hitters in baseball, but has regressed at this point and is not that good anymore. So I don't really agree with this. I think that, again, they're kind of living in the past a little bit. It's 2024. We know that Anthony Rendon isn't that good. We know that Tim Anderson isn't that good. I don't really get it. Jack Flaherty is next, which seems like a very random pick. He didn't have some great seasons to end off his Cardinals tenure, yes, but wasn't great last year getting traded to the Orioles as well, but has had a really solid season this year with Detroit, has been a really positive contributor to that pitching rotation, to that younger team, and has done a really good job. I don't really see why Jack Flaherty is on this list. I kind of think this is just a really random pick. I don't understand it much, but yeah, I get it. Not really, but I don't know. Just seems like a really random pick. I don't know what Jack Flaherty's done to be on this list, but guess he is, and I don't really agree. Next is a very interesting pick that I want to talk about, Pete Alonso. Now, there's been kind of an Alonso hate train from not only Mets fans, but from a lot of fans over the past few years with his baseball play. Now, a lot of fans have disliked Alonso for off-the-field stuff because they think he's corny, because he likes to, he gets really into for the home run derby, and I guess gives corny answers in interviews, but I don't know. I just always thought that was reaching, but they think he's overrated here, and I think Alonso's kind of become underrated, to be perfectly honest with you. I think a lot of people think Alonso's still an overrated player and think that, we just talk about him because his rookie season and how amazing he was, and that, if he never won the home run derby, we'll be talking about him again. He's not that great, and I don't think Alonso is as great as we expected him to be. I mean, I know a lot of people, like myself, expect him to be an all-time great slugger. He isn't that, but he's still a really, really great player. I mean, you look at his stats this year, he still has a weighted runs created plus of 130. Last year was 121. Before that, 141, 131, 120, 144. I mean, you look at his home run total, he has 14 this year, 46 last year, 40 last year, 37 the year before that. So, that's 3 straight years of being close to 40 home runs. This year, he probably is going to hit 35 plus. So, he still hits a lot of home runs. He, does what a first baseman needs to do. And I don't really get this. I still think he's a really good player for being a first baseman. He doesn't really bring much outside of that. And maybe he isn't as great as we once expected him to. And maybe he has regressed over the past few years. But still, I think he's a really, really great first baseman, a really great hitter. And I don't think people kind of expect that. So, yeah, I don't really agree with this, and I kind of think he's becoming underrated with how many people think he's overrated. And it's interesting to see that his peers also think that. So, definitely very, very interesting. Next, we have of the Cubs, Cody Bellinger. I don't disagree with this, honestly. I don't think Bellinger's a bad player, but I think people think he's better than he is just because he had a resurgence year with the Cubs last year. I still think he's just an okay player. He brings a lot of value with defense, yes, but I don't really think he's that great of a hitter, and I think he's eventually going to regress. I don't really agree with this. I do agree with this. I don't think he's insanely overrated, but I do think some people overrate him a little bit for how good he is. So I would say, yeah, I think this is maybe the first choice I would definitely agree with. Again, I think Rendon, Correa, Anderson, and Chisholm, I all got where they're coming from with that. I just didn't agree. But Bellinger, I would say probably. Alex Bregman, again, I don't agree. I think he's a really great player, has had a really rough season this year, but has done better as of recently. And looking at his track record, is still one of the best third basemen in all of baseball. Is on a Hall of Fame track, I'd say. A really, really fantastic player. I just don't agree with this. I think Alex Bregman's a pretty amazing player. And, yeah, I think overall he's one of the best third basemen in baseball. I don't agree with this at all. Yeah. Elly De La Cruz, that's a very interesting one. I think they're thinking this because, he had all this hype coming up. He had an amazing first few weeks, and after that's kind of struggled a little bit. And I honestly would actually agree with this decision. I think that Elly De La Cruz is overrated, but I also think it's okay for him to be overrated because of how exciting he is. I think just looking at a baseball sense, yes, he's overrated. But at the same time, he's so exciting and so fun. There's a lot for growing the game of baseball with how exciting of a player he is. I just let him do his thing. Yes, his hitting stats aren't the greatest. He hasn't been the greatest player. maybe has underperformed that top prospect label, but still, he's still a really good player, and it's not like he's bad. So I think I would agree that he's overrated, but I don't think that it's. But I think kind of just let him do what he wants. He's still a really good player. Manny Machado of the Padres here, I agree with this. I think he hasn't been the same player these past 2 years. I think he's definitely showing some regression at this point, and I definitely get why he is on this list. You look at his stats this year, they really aren't great. You look at them in the past as well, they haven't been amazing. They haven't been horrible, but at the same time, it's not really what you want from a guy getting paid that amount of contracts and getting paid as well as he is. So, yeah, I mean, last year was 114, this year 100. Yes, plays great defense, but that has also has also slipped a little bit these past years as well as he's getting older. So I just think this is kind of regular regression for him. But I do think at this point he is a little overrated, and I would agree with this pick. As I don't think you guys know this, but the Orioles jersey there is an old Machado jersey. I want to take a little bit of differentiating teams, so I like that Orioles jersey there. So that's a Machado jersey. Just want to point that out with Manny being on this list. And finally, Blake Snell of the Giants. I would agree. When he's at his top, he's a Cy Young pitcher, but that's only happened twice, and other than that, he's been a very, very mediocre pitcher that is not great, and I get why they say this, and I honestly would agree. So I think this makes a lot of sense, and it's a good pick here. Now, there are some other players at the bottom who also received a vote. I can't read that, but I saw Javier Baez and Carlos Rodon. Don't agree with those. We all know Baez is bad at this point, and Rodon is also not great. So, I mean, Rodon's actually pretty good. He's had a pretty good season, so I'd surprise he's underrated at this point. So, yeah, what do you guys think about this list? Most overrated player in baseball? Tell me in the comments, tell me in the chat. I am about to sign off, but if you want to tell me quickly, we can get into a little bit of a conversation about it. But, yeah, I thought it was a very interesting list. Some valid points, some players I agreed with, some players I just kind of thought were random, and some players I wholeheartedly disagree with. So, yeah, that is it for our show today, guys. I want to thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. It's not only get notified when I upload, but when all the other great content creators on this channel do. Make sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram for more content and updates. It's a beautiful day outside. Enjoy it. Have a great day, and I'll see you at Baseball Thrills tomorrow. Thanks, guys, and bye.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go to